So we find ourselves here in sunny Spain, about to embark on another Stack&Tilt camp. I'm here with my good friend Andy Plummer from Stack&Tilt. We're going to have a chat today about camp and some of its origins and why we're here this week. So some of you may have heard of Stack&Tilt Camp. It's been around for a number of years now, Andy. You remember the origins of it?
Yeah, it seems like, yesterday to me that we were at your place in Portugal, and we had this idea, you and Martin Park and I had this idea to try to have an event to capture the energy of all the coaches that are involved with Stack&Tilt, and to have an event that could harness all of that and connect all these great coaches with aspiring players.
Yeah.
And a number of years have passed, and that's a reality now.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely excited to be here.
It's such a fun week. The energy around the place is always it's tangible. You can feel it, right?
Yeah,
Students love it.
I feel it as well. I think it's circled on my calendar every year. We do it twice a year here in Spain, and we also conduct camps in the U.S. as well. And I circle them on my calendar simply for that reason: the energy of connecting with friends who we all use the same system, and recounting the past year or half year of events, and reconnecting every year.
It's been a number of ever-present students almost, right? People return time after time after time, and they bring their friends. And
I think that's a reflection of the system, is that people keep coming back. And I think that's the ultimate compliment. Each time I see a person who's came back for the second, third, or fourth time, it gives me a warm place in my heart, because I know we must be doing something right.
Yeah, we are. I can see that for sure. What can players expect from a camp?
Well, Stack&Tilt's a system. So we devise a system that starts with putting. Any unified system for golf would have to encompass all the facets of the game. So it would start with putting and explain how you can use the same system, from putting to chipping to long chipping to irons to fairway woods to driver. So it would be a progression, and the same system and diagrams apply in all the different parts of the game.
That's exciting, because I think people who are familiar with Stack&Tilt know about the system somewhat in terms of the long game, but I don't know that they're as familiar with the short game elements.
It's funny, I go to tournaments and you teach putting. People ask me if I teach putting. I don't always get a chance to, but there's certainly a grid for putting, chipping, and as I said, a progression, a thought progression of pitching, of how to analyze the lies and the slopes and the wind, and there's a calculation that goes on to help the golfer select shots. So there's a grid for the short game, for putting, chipping, just like the irons and driver.
Yeah.
And I think it's those diagrams that we refer to as the grid life. It's that grid that really helps golfers develop the reasoning to organize the game around.
Yeah. Yeah, and so someone coming to camp, whether it be in Europe or in US, 3-day event, 8 students, 4 coaches, so a 2 to 1 student coach ratio, which I think allows players to really immerse themselves in this thing.
That's what it was designed to do, was to, again, be a 3-day event that, as people who take lessons and practice, you get an hour, maybe 2 with the coach. And in that hour, you don't really get the time to do the education. It's problem solving.
I think when we've spoken about this a lot over the years, and even as recently as today, one of the things that sticks with me from our time together is that saying, or that phrase you were told by one of your mentors, Tom Tomasello, about not needing a lesson, needing an education. Exactly.
That brings back memories when you say that. I went for my lesson as an aspiring golfer, and what he realized was that I didn't need a lesson, that I needed an education.
Yeah.
And to your point about camp, is 3 days provides us the time to for the golfer to immerse themselves in the system and to practice and to go through the the ups and downs. How many times in a lesson the person leaves at the ball great and they get home and they can't get back to where they were. And so going through the problem solving over a period of time is hard to replicate in a one-of lesson program.
Yeah.
Which is again part of why we have these camps, is the education aspect of it and the supervised practice part of it. But there's also we were just mentioning, the friendships that develop over time, and there's a real connection that I think supplies the energy you're talking about.
I think it makes it really special. People come back year after year. Coaches come and shadow the other coaches. There's a real feeling of sharing information and trying to just for everyone to improve, whether that's coaches or students.
Right, and that's one of the things that I'd like to for Stack&Tilt to be known for is giving and helping. We have a training program for coaches, and part of its mission is to help. The program is, I like to say, the program is here to help. And so it's not only here to help students, but to your point, it's also here to help coaches.
Yeah, and it's the coaches that need that ongoing education as well. Any worthwhile endeavor requires that time spent studying, getting better, looking at the material, putting it into practice, coming back with questions, and just getting that little bit more refined each time at delivering the message.
Yeah, each time, I have the advantage of giving the class, but I get the advantage of getting all the good questions, which makes the system better. You do use the same system for 15 years of trial and error. The procedure becomes streamlined, and you've had the opportunity to answer the hard questions. And I think that makes the system better.
And it stood the test of time. It continues to stand the test of time. And I think people certainly my experience of camp and also just teaching in general with a system is people like that systematic approach. They like the fact that you're building upon what you did before. It's not random lessons. Right. It's not quick tips.
I say all the time that you'd like to think, playing golf, that you can pick up where you left off the last time and not start over every day.
Yeah.
You would like to think that you could acquire skills, pick up 2 weeks later where you left off, and keep building on to what you have.
Yeah.
And I think that requires, that's what systems do, is organize knowledge to help us to, and of course a grid, a mapping system, a routing system to show us where to go. And that lends continuity for the golfer.
Yeah.
And I think that's what golfers really want, is the continuity to know that they can go play and they can pick up where they left off the last time, and that they're not going to fall apart or have to start over every time they take a lesson.
Yeah.
It can be an extremely frustrating game, right? If you have to start over every time you try to learn something new.
I think that's one of the things that you find golfers bouncing around in different areas, trying to find something that they can grasp and get their hands around, just so that they can hit the ball good enough, without fully really, again, coming back to the education side of things, they don't really know why something worked or why something didn't work.
That was my whole problem as a player, was that there was no continuity, there was no diagrams, no schematics for me to run all my information through. And so all the random information was disjointed and not connected.
Yeah.
But by having diagrams to help organize the thoughts, you can have a conversation in Spain, and you can have another conversation in Miami or San Diego or Palm Springs or Singapore, and the conversation is going to be run through the same drawings, and it helps people to relate to one another.
Yeah.
And it helps them to have something to build upon.
I think it stands out. Stack&Tilt for me stands out as being that system that is written down, right? It's it's clear enough, comprehensive enough, and as I said, still stands the test of time.
When you say it's tangible, when you say there's a tangible system, what you're really saying is there's drawings and mechanical schematics. And as I said a second ago, I think that's what golf instruction lacks is those drawings. You pick up the golf books typically, and what you get is how I play golf. There's no drawings. It's I like to do this or I do this.
Yeah.
And you know that the first question from any educated golfer's point of view is, well, somebody else does it differently, right? How do you reconcile all the differences?
Yeah.
And that's where you need the drawings.
Well, I think hopefully camp continues to go from strength to strength. I'm looking forward to this week. Hanging out with you guys again is going to be fun. If people want to learn about camp, where can they go?
Well, stackandtilt.com. We post all of our events at stackandtilt.com, events, Instagram. We have an active Instagram community where we post all of our events that go on, not just Stack and Tilt Camp, but network training and practice days. And, you know, what's going on in the world of Stack and Tilt goes through Facebook, Instagram, and stackandtilt.com.
Sounds good. So we're back in Spain, as I say. Miami in a few weeks' time, March,
April.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anyone in the US wants to check out the Miami camp, and who knows, maybe a Stack and Tilt camp coming to Asia sometime soon. Watch this space.